edition of Pillar to Post here on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. Mike Gill and Tom Morgan with a recap of last night and some of the storylines. We missed you last week. We were playing some golf. I was on the hiatus last week.
I was asleep last week. Oh, well. No, I was actually eating lunch with you after golf.
That's right. We were at the LPGA Media Day on our regular Tuesday tape time. But we're back with a lot of news to get into. So let's dive into some of the big things, including last night, Raw. Bryan comes out and basically says, he doesn't know if he'll ever be able to wrestle again. He relinquishes the Intercontinental Championship. Tom, is this a work or is this real life? Will we ever see Bryan again?
I think this is definitely real. I think that if he was not hurt and this was kind of a work, it'd be kind of worthless to do all this stuff. But then again, it is the WWE after all. It is definitely real. And, he can't compete. And when you're dealing with neck issues, it's a real thing. And it's very dangerous. I'm surprised, truthfully, that he came back this soon and this quick after his first injury. So now he's going to have to recover again. It's going to be hard to tell whether he comes back and wrestles again. I hope he does. But then again, you have to think about that neck issue. And at least, hopefully, the WWE will use him as some sort of character.
Well, he's going to be on the Tough Enough show. He's going to be one of the judges for that show. So obviously, they want to try to transition him into doing something because it looks like he could be out a little while. Now, we'll see. He is giving up the belt. What are they going to do with the Intercontinental belt? That will be another big thing. They announced last night that the Elimination Chamber is coming back, but it's not a pay-per-view where you can buy it. You have to have the network. So it's going to be a special on the network only. You wonder if they'll have like an Intercontinental Championship Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, sources do say that they will have the Intercontinental title on the line in the Elimination Chamber. The tag team titles will also be on the line. Now, there's nothing confirmed on who's wrestling what. We can safe to say that New Day will definitely wrestle the tag titles.
Hey, what did we say the last show, though? They were kind of gaining a little momentum.
They're picking it up. I like what they're doing, when they first came out as faces, there was kind of, oh my God, what is this? But now it's starting to pick up. That goofy, make fun of the heel stuff is coming into play with this. But anyways, so we do know the Intercontinental title will be on the line at Elimination Chamber. Very funny how they're doing this. It's kind of like King of the Ring, what they did with the WWE Network. Exclusively there, gets people wanting to buy. They're hurting for more revenue, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the Elimination Chamber was used to be a pay-per-view. Now they're bringing it back as this special on the network thing. So it is obviously that they are trying to give more stuff on the network for you to come out and watch, to kind of drum up that interest. They're doing all these things after Raw, after SmackDown. So the Elimination Chamber is a special on the network only. It's the last day of May after Payback. So Payback's coming up this particular Sunday. And I don't know that we have a whole heck of a lot even settled yet. You got the Fatal 4-Way that's going to be happening. We saw the end of Raw with that last night. We have the Rusev versus Cena I Quit match, which I can't imagine, Tom, any scenario where we see Cena quit.
Well, it would be unlike his character to quit. I like the idea of him quitting and giving the title to Rusev. I really do. So not only help Rusev's career, but I also think that if, and this is on my dream list, if Cena goes heel eventually, this could be the beginning of a very, very, very slow heel turn, if you were smart. But again, Cena, he's got the Make-A-Wish Foundation going on. He's the poster face for the PG era WWE. It's going to be a long time before that happens. I do think it'll happen at some point, but maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if he ends up quitting in this match, that it would be a monumental top 10 things that have ever happened. You just will not. I just can't imagine a situation where his character will quit. But other than that, you got the Lana situation. Lana, where she's possibly kind of turning with the crowd. We'll see how they play that whole scenario.
Sure.
But other than that, I mean, this pay-per-view is still kind of murky.
Yeah, and obviously got the tag titles on the line as well. You're going to have Cesaro and Tyson Kidd get themselves a rematch against the New Day. You've got the, I do believe that the Divas title will be on the line. I'm not sure about that. I assume so. But, once again, for pay-per-views like this that are similar to a Monday Night Raw, a lot of these matches get announced at the last minute. We know that there is a match that's set before the pay-per-view even starts. The Damian Sandow and Curtis Axel tag team, now the Hulk Hogan Macho Man Randy Savage impersonators against the Ascension. So, so you've got that going on. It's going to be very interesting. I think this fatal 4-way match, though, there's so many different scenarios that could happen here. You could have Randy Orton win the title. Randy Orton would eventually feud with maybe a Brock Lesnar in SummerSlam. Maybe something like that happens. Maybe you see a Shield reunion happen. It's funny how these three guys are in this match,
Yeah.
And I really thought that these guys would end up wrestling the three of them in a 3-way match at WrestleMania. But now they're in this particular match. It's very funny. And maybe I'm just overreacting. Seth Rollins ends up winning the whole thing, and then we move on.
Well, I think it would be interesting if they somehow come together and give a triple power bomb to Orton to kind of take him out, and then I don't know if they reunite or something, or if there's any hint to that. But I still think you're probably going to keep it on Rollins at this point. I think he's got good momentum. He's doing a pretty good job, and I think they want to probably set up a Rollins Brock Lesnar SummerSlam match. So I would think Rollins will be the guy to walk out of here.
And that would be ideal. But again, the WWE needs to do a little bit of shaking up. They need a strong heel, and I don't think they're getting that strong heel just yet. And so, maybe the Shield might be that strong heel. And I'm not saying that I want them to reunite because they're a great stable, but these are a few scenarios that have been running in my head.
Well, you see how much of a hit they're taking with no Daniel Bryan right now, with no Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar on your television. Right. And then they try to, they added Neville, who that match with him and Cena last night was a great match. Yeah. Really, really a great match. But where do they move with Neville going forward? Right. And then Sami Zayn from last week comes in. And, he may or may not be hurt. We haven't seen him. We don't know what the deal is with him. But they had that great feud going on in NXT with him and Kevin Owens. And that was maybe one of the best feuds going in all of wrestling. If you're an NXT watcher, that thing was, hey, I got to come back next week to see these two guys. So we'll see, I guess, Wednesday night where they end up going with that. Is Sami in? Is he out? But you're starting to see, that they're adding some of these guys. And then some bad news for NXT fans, Hideo Itami, he's going to be out for almost half a year, if not longer. Yeah. And he was a guy that was possibly getting close to coming up. So, there is some injury problems and there is some things that are holding them back. But just not a real compelling show last night, not a compelling pay-per-view coming up either. And you wonder what are some of the things, down the road that we have to look forward to. And a lot of them are kind of murky because of some injuries. And as you said, they don't really have that big-time name right now that can make you want to watch. I mean, Seth Rollins is a good heel. He's a great character, but he's just not bringing you.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting, too, what happens with Kane as well. And you still got that Kane trying to figure things out sort of thing. He had the chair the whole time while, the four guys were brawling. J&J Security getting involved as well in the main event last night, Monday Night Raw. So,
do you think they give him one last title run before he calls it a career?
It's possible, and I think he has to be the Demon Kane to do it as well. He can't be this corporate crap.
Well, I think if he turns, he would come out as the Demon Kane, as this baby face demon, and maybe do they give him one? Is Kane a Hall of Famer? And the answer is probably yes.
Yes.
Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Is he, the headliner for a show?
Right.
Probably not. One of the reasons is he's never been a big time title holder. Yeah. Do they give him that send off with one last title run? Maybe. I don't know. Did they let him try to get you through the summer? I don't know if there's a compelling match between him and Brock Lesnar or him and Roman Reigns. I think the compelling match is between him and Rollins. Do you let him win that match and then he loses it, at the Rumble or something? I don't know. Do they want a long title run with Kane? I think that's an interesting, because I would have to think his in-ring work is going to be coming to an end sooner than later.
Sooner than later, yeah. And I think that you're seeing less matches from Kane slowly.
How about a Kane-Undertaker WrestleMania match?
Well, we're going to 2004 again, so we'd have to be,
The way to end it for both of them.
Yeah, and that's possible, I mean, you could do that, have the lights go out at the end and they both disappear and that's it, something cartoonish like that, but personally, I like to see a Sting Undertaker match at WrestleMania, but that's beside the point. I would see that, and I think that Kane as a face and a demon would be good, and it's crazy is that if he goes in the WWE Hall of Fame, and he will, he's going to be mostly known for his beginnings of Kane, in the Attitude Era. His feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's not going to be remembered as part of the Daniel Bryan Tag Team Championship, and he's not going to be remembered as the corporate Kane either. He's going to be remembered as the beginning, the dark, we don't know what's going on. And then when he actually talked, it was like, oh my God, everyone had goosebumps, you know. So that's what he's going to be remembered as. And I'd like to see that. I mean, if you're going to give the title to someone like Big Show, you might as well give it to Kane one more time.
I haven't seen Big Show on TV either.
No,
you wonder
no.
when he'll be making an
He'll
appearance
remember
back
soon.
here.
Yeah.
And so there are some interesting things, but Payback is coming up on Sunday. And by the way, the WWE is in Atlantic City on Saturday night at the Boardwalk Hall. You're not going to see any storyline stuff leading into that. But you know, the live events always must see because, you know, you get good action. You get
Sure.
really good matches. And a lot of times you see kind of a precursor to what you might see the night before because they might be practicing their match for the night before. So
well, it
it's
is
going
the
to be
night
out there.
Payback.
Yeah, right.
You know?
And so you're going to be out there. Tom and I will be there at the WWE event at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. And Tyson Kidd on Thursday's show here on Pillar to Post. We'll have a special edition with him. We're recording that on Thursday, so we'll have that up for you sometime Thursday night.
Yeah, it's a lot of great things going on. And, you know, it feels like a WrestleMania for us. For those viewing outside of Atlantic City, like big deal. But for us, any chance we get to see a live wrestling event is a good thing.
Before we go down the card real fast here, some other notes from other organizations. One, Global Force Wrestling, Jeff Jarrett's little side project there. I guess it's not a side project anymore. They are going to have their first TV show coming up later on in the year. I think June or July some point. We don't know what station is picking them up. We do know it's at the Orleans Arena in Vegas. Mm-hmm. They did release a roster with a couple of guys, not a whole 30, 40-man roster, but there was about 10 guys. Some names you recognize. One guy that was probably Luke Gallows. He's now in the Bullet Club. Carl Anderson, he's one of the guys in there. Justin Gabriel, he's one of the guys that is going to be on that roster as well. There's some other guys that are going to be on there, but Chael Sonnen is going to be the color commentator for Global Force, and there's a lot of speculation that Jim Ross might be the play-by-play guy. And I would assume if Jim Ross is the play-by-play guy, then they're going to have a pretty decent television spot. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Global Force end up on Spike.
Yeah, and I would love it. And I think that would put the final nail in the coffin for TNA. I really do.
Which has been butting out some pretty good shows right now, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And, but again, it's all about marketing, and if you're on Destination America, you're not going to win. You're just not.
No. But they have, some interesting shows coming up. I mean, they have this best of 5 tag team tournament with the Wolves. You got Bobby Roode and Austin Aries teaming back up. Those guys were a great team together. So you got they've had some really good shows recently. You got Kurt Angle, is still the champion over there. We'll see where that goes. EC3 has been a great character for them. So if you're watching TNA, they're going to get some competition here shortly from the Global Force brand.
Spoiler alert for Slammiversary will be Kurt Angle versus EC3 for the world title. Is that what they call the world title? TNA
World Heavyweight Champion.
World Heavyweight
TNA
Champion.
World Heavyweight Champion.
TNA Heavyweight Championship. Yeah.
So that's Friday night's Destination America. Set your DVRs if you can't watch it. Try to get to it. NXT's Wednesday night. We'll see what happens with Global Force when they get a TV deal, if they get a TV deal. And I heard Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore also got a TV deal with the Fight Network. I don't know if we in this area get the Fight Network, but he's got something going on. It's very ECW-ish, but not quite as graphic and gory. But he's got a TV deal in certain areas. So Fight Network, see if you have that where you live. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the wrestling world. But let's take a look at a quick rundown at the Raw last night, because I don't know that it accomplished much.
Oh, no. Okay, so we get Triple H coming back. Oh, my God, he's getting out of the limousine all Monday Nitro-ish. And then the handicap match, Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble versus Dean Ambrose. For those of you younger viewers out there, Jamie Noble was a great cruiserweight champion. Joey Mercury was a great tag team champion, along with what was Johnny Nitro, and then turned into... was it John Morrison?
John Morrison.
So
Johnny Mundo
these two guys were great wrestlers, and the whole time I'm thinking about this, I know they haven't wrestled in a while, and I know they're like figures, they're like road managers behind the scenes, but they are just getting the crap kicked out of them.
Well, we know we have to do it once in a while.
But man, it was like, really? Do we have to waste our time? Dean Ambrose, the hometown favorite, of course, he needed something to be fed. And
he was over last night.
Oh, he was definitely over in Cincinnati. He's from there, so.
Well, does Dean Ambrose have a shot to win this thing? I mean, he's kind of, it looked like he was trending down for a little while, and then all of a sudden he's in the championship match. I thought they kind of pulled him out of right field.
I read this. Dean Ambrose, since the Shield has broken up, how many pay-per-view matches has he won?
I don't think any.
One.
Okay, I was gonna say he has
One.
been in a downward trend
Right.
for the last 2 or 3 months. He has really struggled.
That's like giving the Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who've only won 2 games last year. Okay, so if you think about him going for the WWE Championship and only winning 1 match, 1 pay-per-view match since the breaking up of the Shield, it's kind of crazy if you think about it.
Yeah.
I love Dean Ambrose. I wish he would win more, but this is a guy who got eliminated in the first round of King of the Ring.
Hey, by the way,
he gets a title shot.
We had asked for more tag team stuff a couple shows ago, and we saw one get back together, and they came out in, I think it might have been the next match between Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Those guys seem like they're back together.
Yeah, and I think that's a really, really good call. It was Eric Rowan versus Fandango, actually, and that Luke Harper came with him. Another wrestler he's totally getting crapped on, Fandango. Here's a guy who beat Chris Jericho in his first WrestleMania. Now he's also a jobber. And I'm not really going for the face thing either. I liked it when everyone was doing this, but you could do that even when he was a heel. So we'll see what happens with his character. Before that match, Dolph Ziggler versus King Barrett. You had Sheamus get involved. King Barrett wins. And then we moved on.
I don't know that I love the King gimmick. I mean, what it did? They threw it out there, and now, okay, what is he? What does the King win? Is he just the King? How does he lose the King? How does he lose that title?
Right. And back in the day, of course, we talked about this in the last Pillar to Post that the original King of the Ring. Synopsis was if you won, you had a title shot at SummerSlam. I think they should retain that because now everyone, okay, I'm king. Okay, great.
Exactly. And how do you lose the king?
Right.
Is it like the $1 million belt? Okay, you create. It's like when Taz was the FTW champion in ECW. Okay, you're the king. What are you doing with that thing? So it's interesting too because he was the IC champion and then he lost it at WrestleMania to Daniel Bryan, and now Daniel Bryan has to relinquish it. You wonder if he's gonna they're gonna put the belt back on him and be the king. I wonder if they had to have known that Daniel Bryan was going to be out for a little while.
I think we're going to have a hell of an intercontinental match at Elimination Chamber.
And I would assume Ziggler would be a big part of that.
Would be, absolutely. So we move on to the United States title. I thought this was the match of the night, Neville versus John Cena.
Yeah. Yeah, and Neville, we had talked a lot about him, and they're really hyping him up. I mean, the way they introduce him, the man that gravity forgot has always been a name, but they're, the incredible Neville. I mean, it's like, come on, man. They're really putting him over the top and trying to get him involved pretty quickly, but you could see that he can go, man. He certainly can go. He's entertaining, and the one thing you worry about is that when guys get in the ring with Cena, it seems that they torpedo downwards. I mean, Rusev hadn't lost in like a year, and all of a sudden he gets in the ring with Cena, and now you're like, where's Rusev's character going? He did it with Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania the year before. At SummerSlam, I thought he wrestled at SummerSlam. Bray Wyatt last year.
Yes.
And Bray Wyatt had a pretty bad last year, a slow year last year. So it seems that anything that Cena gets his hands on seems to take a nosedive afterwards. So I'm hoping Rebel doesn't go down the drain either.
But I tell you what, Neville had a great match, and he looked like he was going to win the match until Rusev came in.
Another example is when Sandow had the Money in the Bank.
Oh yeah,
and he wrestled Cena.
And
he
Cena
came out.
destroyed him.
But it was a really good match. It was a really good match. And then Sandow hasn't been the same since.
No, he hasn't.
Although they gave him new music, and then they got away from it last night.
Did they get away from? Is he still? I thought it was the original Macho Man Randy Savage music.
Yeah, but they gave him his own Damien. Last week on Raw, he was Damien Sandow with new music. It was kind of a tweaked techno version of his old music, the Hallelujah. And then this week they went back to giving him like the gimmick where he's portraying other characters. I mean, I thought they were going to let him kind of stand on his own.
His own thing. Yeah.
I don't know because. When they introduced him last week, he came out with his own music. He had his own trunks on. He was Damien Sandow. And then he kind of did this thing. I don't know, when the ring announcer, she was announcing him, and then he would stop her, and then he would repeat her. You remember that? Did you see the Raw thing last week? It was kind of weird. And then this week he comes out as, Macho Mizdow.
And he was basically like all, as...
Or Mandow.
Mandow. And maybe he's good at doing that,
He's great.
He is great doing that.
But it looked like they were getting away from making him be a character and letting him become more of a serious guy, but it only lasted 1 week, so we'll see.
Then we moved on to Kane versus Roman Reigns, which was very short-lived. I'm hoping this is going to be a face turn for Kane, and he's going to go back to this demon thing. Reigns didn't even wrestle. I mean, the guy just basically, he super punched and speared, but there was really not much of a wrestling.
Well, and I wonder if they're trying to get Reigns over to show that he's strong and that, that you had your heavy come after me and I took care of him. Or is this them showing that Kane's mind is not on, this particular match, but it's on Rollins that he's kind of thinking about something different. And that'll be that's why I'm interested to see if they give Kane one last run or one last match in that title picture, because it seems like, he's conflicted on, is he going to help out and do what's best for business, or is he at the end of the road and I don't care what you do to me, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah. We saw returning Tamina Snuka, and of course she returned last week, but she actually wrestled this time against Brie Bella. I love the Divas division, Tamina Snuka coming back.
Yeah, and Tom, I liked how they used the real life relationship between Tamina and Naomi.
Yeah.
They're like, because Tamina and her husband Uso, John Uso or Jimmy Uso, one of the two, they are connected, so there is some relationship there, and they kind of use that. She said, now I have family on my side, and I think her character is really getting over. I mean, as this kind of attitude. Tamina's always kind of been a heavy, in terms of she is kind of like the bodyguard type thing, but I think the Divas division is going to be interesting, especially if Ronda Rousey decides to make the switch. Now, Dana White has said she's not going to. They talked about a WrestleMania match. But think about if she came over here. She would kind of be the Brock Lesnar. Who would be able to beat her? And I think that would really elevate that. Then you have, if you watch NXT, they have a lot of really good divas. Charlotte's down there. Bayley's down there. Sasha Banks is down there. That would really make this division. Becky Lynch, too, who, by the way, she may have surpassed Paige in my favorite looks list. She's something to take a look at, that Becky Lynch, but she's by the way, she's Irish, so she's got this unbelievably wild Irish accent, but they have a lot of talent, and they can maybe elevate that level with some of the injuries going on.
Yeah, they sure can. I think the Divas division, certainly, I understand why Brie Bella has the title from the E! Network perspective and all that stuff. Is it Nikki who has the title, or was it Brie? Okay, maybe it was Nikki. Okay. It's a Bella twin, sorry. But, I really
think bigger than the other.
Yeah, that's true. In a lot of different ways. But,
one married Cena, or dates Cena. The other one married
Daniel Bryan.
Brie is married to Daniel.
Speaking of family and Tamina Snuka and Naomi, where are the Usos at?
Hurt.
They're one of them hurt? Okay.
Oh, I know one of them's hurt. I don't know if both of them, but I think one of them's hurt, so what are you going to do with the other one?
Right, exactly.
Another guy that we haven't seen really factor in much too is Stardust has not been around. He wrestled last week, but what's his involvement here? You also I'm trying to think of some guys that the Ascension. It seemed like they're just making them a joke. It's a shame because they were badasses in NXT. They've come up here. Bo Dallas is not really. He was the champion in NXT.
Right.
He's come up here and he's done nothing. So there are a couple of guys, and the Usos, I guess, they needed some time off. They were on all the time. They're doing Total Divas. So maybe, the injury kind of was a good way for them to get a little time off and see if they come back repackaged.
We talked about Curtis Axel and Damian Sandow. So now we've got...
It's a pretty funny bit, by the way.
Yeah, you got the Big E versus Cesaro. Of course, we'll be talking with Tyson Kidd, one half of the former tag team champions, on Thursday.
And I said a couple of weeks ago, I thought that what they were doing with New Day was kind of, the smart move. They were making them the heels. Now, is it go away heat, or is it you're getting over as heel heat? Is it like, we don't care about you, just get off the TV? Or is it, no, we don't like you?
I think it's, we don't like you now. It used to be, we don't care about you, get off the TV, you guys have no personality.
Yeah.
It's catching on with me. I mean, I love,
and I don't know if you saw the E60 thing on ESPN the other night.
Yeah.
But,
I did.
What's his name?
Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods. He used to be Consequences Creed when he was in TNA. That's how
right.
But, very smart guy, and he does a really good job of the antagonist of like, what are we doing wrong? Why do you not like it?
Right.
And then Kofi Kingston is kind of like, the kind of the middleman in that, he's the wrestler, and then you have Big E, who's kind of their heavy. So, and it's the Freebirds, they keep switching the belts around. One week, Big E comes out with the belt on with Kofi, and then the next week, Xavier Woods has the belt on with Kofi. So it is kind of like the old school Freebirds here, and maybe it can reinvigorate the tag team division. TNA is running that best of 5 tag team tournament, and WWE has not. And we talked about trying to put together tag teams on a couple shows ago.
There was a time I think Triple H was really trying to freshen up the tag team division, really trying to push those titles, and now it's kind of gone by the wayside again.
Well, we haven't seen the last couple episodes, the Lucha Dragons.
No, we love those. Yeah. And then we moved on here to the, of course, we announced the WWE Elimination Chamber will be on May 31st exclusively on the network. Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins. We get to see this again. Randy Orton wins by disqualification because, well, J&J Security comes out. And then we have ourselves the traditional brawl right before the pay-per-view with all those involved for the WWE Championship.
And the guy who's the champion, of course, he gets beaten up. All four of them, or all three of them, take it out. But the big story was Kane standing with the chair, kind of shaking his head. Do I want to help you out, or am I just going to kind of stand here and enjoy this? And obviously that will lead you into Payback. Now, SmackDown on Thursday has been giving you more things leading into these pay-per-views. And I think that's the precursor because they're moving to USA Network coming up next year. So I think they're trying to get you into that mode where you got to start watching this because they're going to give you a little bit. Yeah. So SmackDown this week might do some things. So I would probably try to check that out if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, we will see Seth Rollins in action. And then coming up this Saturday in Atlantic City, we'll see Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. No one's going to we're not going to have a new winner on
How
Saturday.
awesome would that be if
cool.
Orton came into the pay-per-view as the champion?
Right,
and they're like, wait, what happened? What happened?
But I can't remember when that's ever happened in a house show when someone won the WWE Championship somewhere.
It has happened, but it's I think it's well before the Raw and the big that became the huge conglomerate.
Now I have seen Intercontinental title changes. And
I've never been to a house show.
Yeah, I have seen that.
I've only been to pay-per-views and Raws and SmackDowns.
Right.
I've never been to a house show, so this will be a first.
Yeah, well, this will be my first WWE event at Boardwalk Hall. I've lived here in Atlantic City for 4 years, and I've missed the WWE every time.
Yeah, me too.
This will be fun. And then, of course, we also have John Cena against Rusev, which is always a decent match for the United States title. And again, Cena will probably have that title then too. So a lot of good things are happening. And of course, we'll see a lot of the other guys show up too. Hope to see some NXT guys maybe show up. I know they've got some stuff going on in Philadelphia at the Tower Theater.
Yeah, the NXT show is Thursday and Friday. They got 2 shows there.
Yeah.
The NXT roster, though, if Sami Zayn's hurt and Hideo Itami's hurt, that NXT show took a little bit of a hit if those guys go out because they're limited at the top of the card as it is. I mean, they only have a 1-hour show every week, so they can be limited, but you take away Hideo Itami and Sami Zayn are 2 of their top 5 guys, and I don't know what they're going to do there. Now, the interesting thing will be, are they going to go out on the indie scene and start grabbing some more guys? They do have the Tough Enough show coming up, but those guys aren't going to be ready for a little while. I'm interested in this Tough Enough show, too. Is it going to be kind of an American Idol? They said it's going to be kind of like The Voice, which I don't watch, so I don't know what that format is.
Yeah.
But you're going to have Hogan, Paige, Daniel Bryan. They're all Chris Jericho's the host.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a big home run for them. It's going to be on USA, so it's going to be on Tuesday night. So WWE has Raw on Monday. It'll have Tough Enough on Tuesday, NXT on Wednesday. It'll have SmackDown on Thursday. So 4 nights of the week, WWE is going to have programming on USA Network coming up.
Back in the day, before Thunder, before SmackDown, I mean, it was every Monday, and that was it. And if you go really way back, it was only on Saturday morning. So now WWE Network hitting the home run. I'm going to finally get the network. I need to get the network. And it's going to be some exciting stuff for the next couple of weeks, hopefully, in the WWE, especially after Payback, leading in Elimination Chamber. After Elimination Chamber, before you know it, SummerSlam will be here.
Yeah, a couple WWE Network picks of the week for me this week. Since we missed last week, I'll give you 2. One was the Stephanie McMahon Jericho podcast on the WWE Network. It was fluffy.
Yeah,
it was nothing. She was not in character.
No.
She was Stephanie McMahon, the CEO.
Right.
She was not in character at all. She talked about her character, and she had mentioned, I play the bad, the bad guy, and she did not shy away from that. She was not in character, so it was very fluffy, entertaining nonetheless, and she's very smart girl. I mean, obviously it's kind of cool to hear her. She talked about her brother and how he got out of it and some of the different plans, how she got together with Triple H and how that all came down. So it was worth a view, but nothing hard-hitting in terms of, character related. The second thing is ECW Unreleased Volume 3 is coming out, and they did a Joey Styles and the Blue Meanie, who we saw at the Ross thing up in...
he was in line with everybody else.
He was standing in front of us in line. And then him and Stevie Richards, the Blue World
BWO,
Order,
yeah.
they co-hosted together,
Get out
and
here.
they just showed some clips of this new DVD that's coming out of the ECW Unreleased Volume 3, some of the ECW best matches. They had a match with Tommy Dreamer wearing suspenders back before he became the hardcore legend guy. So that was kind of cool. So there are 2 picks that I watched on the WWE Network this week. They have the new Roman Reigns 24. That's out. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to try to get to that. But I would assume those 24s have been really good. So check that out. And what else is there's a lot. This Jerry Springer show I haven't seen yet. They have the new show with Renee Young that's coming out on there. So they are loading up the network with new stuff because what I read, Tom, is quite frankly the old archived material just wasn't. People aren't watching it. And so they realized,
watch, and if you're a guy like me, and I'll admit this, you go to YouTube and you can find a lot of this old stuff.
Yeah.
You can just Google WrestleMania 10 and be watching WrestleMania 10 for free on YouTube. So,
pirater.
Well, it's not. It's
right
there on YouTube though. It's right. It's not pirating. If you're on pirating, you'd be like going to a legal website or downloading it illegally.
Well, that person illegally put it on there.
Yeah. But regardless, he's the one getting busted, not me. But the thing is that. Yeah, you're right, and they really need to just keep it going. There's only so much historic stuff you can put on,
right?
And I think that they're
and I find myself that I watch more of the new stuff than I do the old stuff. Now, every once in a while, if I hear like I don't know, a lot of these new things will tell stories about from '98 that match, and I'll go back and I'll be like, I want to see what they're talking about, and I'll go watch it.
Sure.
But a lot of the stuff that I watch is the new material. Like I said, the Tough Enough. I'm interested to see what they do with that. Are they going to get real indie wrestlers? The last Tough Enough was in 2011. The 2 guys that were the top 2 have not made it at all. The guy Andy Levine or Levine or something like that. Yeah. He was awful. And then Luke Robinson, he was the guy that finished in 2nd place. He's not even in wrestling anymore.
Right.
These guys were green as grass. I think they wanted to be on reality TV. They didn't want to be wrestlers. Are they going to get people who want to be wrestlers that are going to be a part of this show this time?
Refresh my memory, and I may be wrong here. And of course, I have been wrong before here on Pillar to Post. Dean Ambrose. Was he on Tough Enough?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so?
No, he's an indie guy. Him and Rollins
went through.
That's like the last group of guys who really before NXT.
Right.
And they came through FCW. I think Rollins had a small run as the NXT champion, but most of those guys came through FCW. But now, the big thing is, in fact, we talked about Billy Corgan is the new senior whatever. His title's like this long for TNA. I heard his podcast with Chris Jericho, which was really good, by the way. And he talked about one of the things he wants to do with TNA is create their own minor league system because they can't develop their own stars that are TNA branded stars. They have to get them from other organizations because they don't have any organization. So that's one of the things that he really wants to work on with character development and have that guy, like AJ Styles, he was the TNA original.
Right. Poster child.
Bobby Roode, TNA original. A lot of these guys. And now a lot of those guys are gone, like Samoa Joe. In fact, I think you're going to see Samoa Joe in WWE soon.
Very soon.
Possibly NXT, but they might even need him right about.
Everyone knows who Samoa Joe is. It'd be awesome if he came out like during one of John Cena's like United States title invitations.
That would be cool. Oh, by the way, Bully Ray back on TNA TV.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw him at Royal Rumble, but it looks like he's going to be back on TNA TV, and so is Velvet Sky, so she's always good to look at.
Yeah, well.
So, all right, there's another edition of Pillar. Man, there's so much to talk to.
There's so much, but that's what happens when you miss a week. Now we're going to have 2 episodes this week. We had today, and of course we got Thursday when Tyson Kidd's going to be on the show.
Yeah.
Also follow us on Twitter, too, at 97.3 ESPN or at Tom Morgan 1049 if you prefer either one, because we will be tweeting throughout the house show Saturday night in Atlantic City. Yes, it's a house show, but man, still going to be a lot of fun. I think tickets are still available, right?
They are, and they also gave us photo credits, too, so we can take our own pictures. So you might see us wandering around. So use the hashtag Pillar, number 2, post with questions, comments, leave comments and anything you want. Let's get the interaction going. And Tyson Kidd on Thursday's show, and we'll be back with another edition of Pillar to Post on Tuesday next week. Have a fantastic wrestling week, everybody.
We'll find out if Gil gets a picture with Paige Tuesday.
She's hurt.